it's me, Allison. I'm here, causing trouble, as always. Just gonna do some fun times and see what we can get some art done. Also, I got mail today, and I figured it might be fun to open the mail and kind of go from there, as it's definitely art related. So, let's check out what Allison got from the great Jet Pens. I may have erased my address. Oh, I should probably make it so you guys can actually see this. That could be helpful. Go. The wonderful Jet Pens. Let's see. That is water, not for drinking. Those are for eating. Those over there. We are not sponsored by Pepsi or by Ritz. Although, if they would like to sponsor me, I am open to it. Alright. Got the handy Leatherman. Let's do this. That over there. That should make it so I can now get this open. Yep. Okay. So, we got a couple of nib holders that are really nice nib holders. I also got a thanks for 20 years from my friends at Jet Pens. Free 20th anniversary bundle with any $80 purchase redeemed by 4/30/2025. I'm fairly certain that I will be able to take advantage of that. Yeah, that seems legit. And then we got those receipts. I think this is probably the receipt. That's what it looks like. And it's got a little cartoon on it, too. Yep, that's the receipt. And, yeah, here we go. Okay, that over there with the receipt. So we also got some G-Pens nibs, and we have two Maro nibs. And I got two new holders specifically for said nibs. I figured I would give these ones that are fairly high rated, figured give them a shot. So the Maro nibs are from Tachikawa. The G-Pens, I believe, are Zetas. Now here's where the fun part happens, because we get to see Allison's reduced manual dexterity trying to get into these stupid things. What am I kidding? I think even if my manual dexterity was good, I would probably have a problem with this. But hey, it is what it is. Let's see. Let's checking some stuff out, making sure things are looking good on the stream. Looks like they are. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Because that would be embarrassing if I was talking this whole time and nobody could hear me. I'm about to just rip this thing open because it's not like I'm going to keep it in. There we go. Got it. Okay. Got that open. Let's drop out the nibs, shall we? There we go. Who messaged me? Excellent. Okay. Talking to friend of the channel, Ian. I often hang out with him on his station, as he does his fat cat funny stuff, and he's currently working on his Undersea Hero, which I'm looking forward to a lot. Okay. Now Allison gets to figure out, how do I get this open? Looks like there's a tear thing on it. What's the likelihood that's going to work? About what I thought. It's Japanese. They know how to package things. We'll consult with Mr. Leatherman again. That was easy. Okay, so it's even got a little cover for the nibs, so we can transport them and not have the tips break like I did on my previous Maru tip. Now then, can I get this open without breaking a nail? My nails aren't much to begin with, so this will be fun. I think I got it, maybe. There we go. So I get a little squeeze. And I know there's somebody out there who's thinking, that's what she said. Well, you know, I did just say that. I did. Okay. So, my old art teacher, Mr. Bell, was always quick to point out that there is a filament that's on these. They usually want to heat them up for a few minutes before you use them. Like put under a hot flame or something that can dissolve what's on there. And the thing that can actually do it is your own saliva. And it's kind of funny that he had said to do this, but it does work. It's a little gross, but you know what, everybody? I'm going to gross you out. Tasty. Not really. That would go right in. Okay, that's in pretty much. I guess it's as deep as it goes. That's fine. I can deal with that. That's going. There's even instructions on how to use it in the back of this thing, as we can see. But they're in Japanese. That does make things a bit more difficult if you can't read Japanese. But hey, I can figure it out. There's that one. I don't really need to worry about it, but you know, paranoid. And now the Maru nib. That's different. See if it actually goes around the thing. It does. Nice. Okay. I already see that these are better quality than what I was using. Try that again. Right there. There we go. I'm like terrified of stabbing myself with these things. Okay, so Maro nib is typically used for fine lining, like going to really detailed, like, if you're doing backgrounds and stuff, and you're doing like highly detailed backgrounds and things, the Maro nib that's what it's designed for. The G pen is your basic inking nib, so it's all good. Now then, I'm gonna throw some of this stuff out and kind of go from there. Flip this around, because I'm probably gonna use that, because 20% off on $80 or more, I can hit that. That's going to be my deleter paper refill and a few other things. That's a lot of deleter paper too. One thing I'll say about deleter paper, it's thinner, but it's cheap. Okay, I'll be right back. Just going to step away for a minute, and I will see you in a moment. And I'm back. Better than ever. Actually, while I'm kind of setting up here, we'll just do this. Get up onto just me for a minute. I have my hair already tied back, so we're going to be doing some arting soon. And we'll be going to do some test inking on a headshot that I did of one of my villains for the manga. This was kind of me really practicing some techniques with it. So there. I also, over the weekend, I was at my circle template. I was at a art show thing that I was basically selling cartoons and comics and stuff at. And that was fun times. I didn't make a lot of sales, unfortunately, but I don't think people were really there for comics or art. But maybe if I was loaded up on like Pikachu, that could have worked. Or any type of Pokemon or whatever, that probably could have worked. But yeah, I got some stuff to do. I did several pages of the manga that I penciled in. Actually, I haven't looked at them for a bit. I was checking them out right now. I know you can't see them, but let me see if there's anything I want to kind of go with and pull out after this piece. Yep, no, we'll hold off on that stuff for right now. Ink it in a bit. Oh, and Little Rocket has come back and joined us. That's my right side. Okay. Okay, let's see. Lower this just a tad. Oh god, I got the theme song to Attack on Titan in my head right now. Alright, this should be good. Right. I should have hopefully dissipated whatever was on this. Primed it, as they say. So we're about to find out, are speedball nibs better than zebra and is it Takamachi? I think they were Takamachi. There it is. Oh, Tachikawa. Yeah, Tachikawa is what they were. Was the Maro pen. Alright, so the Maro pen's a Tachikawa. And the other nib is a the zebra. That over here. Let's move this over here. Nothing there. Nothing there. There we go. Okay. I'll put the Maro pen up here. I will give myself some light. So this is one of my villains. This is Gilderay, and he is inspired by the historical gentleman, if I can use that as a word for this guy, Gilderay, who served with, all people, Joan of Arc. He was one of her lieutenants, and well, the legend of Bluebeard kind of comes from some of the stuff that this guy did. He was known for doing some rather mean things to kids. What those mean things are, I'll let people look it up and check the Wikipedia article on them. But he ended up getting hung. I don't really want to read the cross, so we'll put it there. Oh god, this is already better. Oops. Not a big deal, it's hair. Oh yeah, this is a lot better than the speedball ones already. I think I'm in love. Probably should have done some warm-ups, but you know, this is more for me than anything else, for like my notes and things and when I put my Bible together. So I don't mind that much. And I can tell you already, this is much easier to hold than the speedball one as well. Pushed a bit too hard. Thankfully, there's no ink in it. Otherwise, the ink would have ended up all over the paper in a splot. Oh. I feel like that should be in further, but yeah, whatever. I'll fiddle with it. Alright, I will say the deleter paper handles the the quill a little bit better. That I feel like I have a little bit more control with it. I mean, granted, I'm still getting used to doing this. I'm trying to make sure I don't like chop the paper in half. Or dig into the paper in a bad way. I believe I drew this with a 2H lead. So yeah, I didn't use the was it the 5B lead for this? I used the 2H. So I was intending on inking it. I thought that it would probably be better to do with a lighter pencil. If you look closely, you can still see my red underdrawing. It's mostly just to get a, kind of an initial shape in there. And I might get some of the other things I might get is the some more deleter ink as well. I'm saving 20% off of an order of 80 or more. I might as well capitalize on it. Oh, I'll be up at Little Giant comic convention up in New Hampshire this weekend with my friend Ian and Jay and a few other people I know. But Ian and Jay are my buddies, so I'll be hanging out with them at the show, and I'll be trying to get my Marvel Premiere number 15 signed, which is the first appearance of the Iron Fist, as is, I can't think of his name right now, but the artist who created him is up there. I can't think of his name right now for any reason. It'll come to me. Yeah, this does feel a lot better. It's a little bit easier to throw a line with, too, so that's good. Yeah, these holders are Tachikawa holders, too, so. Tachikawa nib holder. The breeze feels nice. I have my window open a little bit, right up above me. My old apartment complex I lived in. It's one of the first places I lived in when I lived on my own, without a roommate or anything. They would call an apartment like this a garden apartment. Basically meant basement. I wonder if I cleared that stuff off enough. Yeah, I'll live. I'm going to thicken that line a bit more. It's the forehead, and I want to call attention to it, so let that stand out a bit more. I still have to replace the ink in that brush pen of mine. In the Kurosawa, not Kurosawa, yeah, I think Kurosaki brush pen. I think it's a Kurosaki. So, still have to do that. It's nothing like new art supplies. It's just fun. But it scratches. That's not good. That's a good new set of French curves too at some point. I had a few of them. They melted in my car. I have my deleter one that came with a set of manga supplies by deleter, but it's small. I do want one that can do a bit bigger of a curve with. Now with drawing hair, I'm not that worried about it. The other thing I can keep in mind when I'm doing this stuff is I can change some of this stuff digitally later. Or I could use whiteout. I hope I actually dipped it in the ink. Yeah, get a little more confident with throwing that line. I'll get there. Again, I'm still kind of teaching myself how to use the G pen. I'm also whenever I'm wiping off too much ink. Doesn't matter that much. I think Jeremy's taking a call. My roommate is working from home today. So I just heard a phone upstairs go off, so he's probably calling out or doing something. He works like tech support. One thing I'll say with pullouts on when using a brush, you can get a kind of a cooler whack. That did a pretty good one. Had lunch with my friend Curtis today, celebrating his birthday. To celebrate, he took me out for lunch. I approve. because I'm broke. Dave Malidi. Oh, do I do this every afternoon? I do not. Today is a bit of an impromptu stream because I got art supplies in and I want to play with them. My typical day that I stream, I try to stream Fridays at 3. Nice free lunch. Yep, it was a nice free lunch. Had Longhorn. I had a burger and a cup of soup. I'm subscribed, so when you stream live, it shows up. Fantastic. I'm always happy when people subscribe. I definitely approve of people subscribing because, we got the whole, the fun times of. Back to me. Yeah, I thought you might find that funny. Yep. I also stream on Twitch, so I do dual streaming. I do it all with OBS Studio because I don't want to pay for one of those multi-streamer ones that cost a crap load a month. So who is this guy? This is Gilderay. He is inspired by a historical person. He is one of my villains, which if you know anything about Gilderay, he was kind of a monster who happened to be, I think, like one of Joan of Arc's lieutenants. But I'm using him with he has a cult following group known as the Sons of Gilderay. But I figured I would actually kind of do a Gilderay. But when people ask, like, well, what did he do that was so bad? The Bluebeard legend primarily comes from him and what he did. He did a lot of nasty things to children. So my tokusatsu inspired manga has some darker elements to it than kind of the than like what you kind of see from it in a lot of ways. I mean, was it Shogun Sensei Jet Ranger was that one had some dark points. Which it was like the one that was like right before Zoo Ranger, which is where the Power Rangers came from. And I mean, that was in Japan that was a much more lighthearted kid show, but Jet Ranger was or Jetman was very, it was more something that, like, adult could get entertained from it as well as a child. One of those, appeal to multiple audiences type thing. and it definitely has some dark moments in it. It's a really good show. Zoo Ranger's kind of fun too. If you want to see where Power Rangers came from and a bunch of the stuff with it. I mean, I thought Power Rangers was kind of lame when I was growing up. Then again, I was like 17, so it wasn't really my thing. I mean, I was sophisticated in my childhood and my teen years. I watched Disney Afternoon and Batman. But I do like the Sentai elements, basically where it came from. And I mean, Sailor Moon is heavily inspired by the tokusai genre. Um, it was basically, can't think of her name who created it, but she was basically like, I wanted to do one of these Super Sentai shows, but with girls. So she made effectively Sailor Venus, which was the first one, and then she did the Sailor Moon series and included Venus in it. So I believe her one shot that got her published was a Sailor Venus story. And when she did the whole series, she focused on Sailor Moon. That is a bit of crazy history of Japanese stuff, with manga and Sentai shows. Even his hair looks evil. Fantastic. That's what I needed. Evil hair. I can tell you this, it's kind of evil to ink in. Hmm. So Dave, have you ever watched any tokusatsu stuff like Kamen Rider or the Super Sentai shows or anything? I I kind of picture you watching some of them. I think you might find some of them fun. Some of the Kamen Rider ones are really good. I mean, Shin Kamen Rider was great. Shin Ultraman was good. Shin Godzilla. Those are all tokusatsu stuff. Technically, Godzilla is a first and foremost is a tokusatsu show. If not, or a tokusatsu movie, I should say, is what Godzilla is initially. I mean, it's a horror movie, but it comes from that genre, which basically just means special effects. But yeah, Shin Godzilla, very, very good. Just start watching One Piece with Cindy. Well, you'll be watching it probably till you die. It's a lot of episodes. There's like over 1,000 episodes. I know it's one of the longest running manga out there. I couldn't really get into the art style of One Piece. It wasn't my thing. I'm much more of a Yusuke Murata fan when it comes to manga art and anime art. Or, I mean, Nobuhiro Watsuki was a big influence on me until he proved to be a bit of a jerk. His style definitely still does influence me. So it's going to be 1,000 episodes. Yeah, it's 1,000 episodes. Sounds about right. Yeah, One Piece is an investment. One Piece is definitely an investment. Yeah, but if you have the opportunity, check out Shin Godzilla. You'll probably like it. It's fun. It's directed by the guy who did Neon Genesis Evangelion. Skip the first 400 episodes. That they're slow. Maybe that was my problem. I watched like the first 7 or 8, and I just got bored. I mean, I like character background and development and things. But yeah. Where is Shin Godzilla? What network? I don't know what network it's on, but I mean, it was released in theaters a few years ago. I own a copy of it. I own all 3 of the Shin movies that are out, but there's Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, and Shin Kamen Rider. And it's like the Japanese tokusatsu cinematic universe. Um, like Godzilla minus one was probably the better movie. Yeah, it was definitely the better movie. But Shin Godzilla is just fun. Listen, it was directed by the guy who did Neon Genesis Evangelion. Actually, I believe he did all 3 of the Shin movies. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Like, check out a trailer for it on YouTube or something. But I highly recommend them. They're very, very fun. It's a good modern day imagination of Godzilla, where Godzilla minus one is set like immediately after World War II. Want to come over and watch them with us some point after 15th? Yeah, I could do that. I could easily do that. Yeah, good thing you said after April 15th too, because I got some stuff going on around then. So I know I'm going to a Passover dinner on the 12th. We're doing a Comic Con this weekend. Be at Little Giant Comic Con up in New Hampshire. Highly recommend it. Great show, cheap to get in, and it's all comics. There's not like miscellaneous washed up wrestling stuff. Okay. I'm not going to ink any more hair because I've kind of gone around and I don't want to pull over. I don't want my hand to go over the inked area while it's drying. So we'll start doing some other stuff. Yeah, I'd like to catch up with you too. I think it'd be fun. Do you still have a spare bedroom I could potentially crash in? Any type of a lone drive can wear me out pretty easily with my MS. One of the good things about going to that comic book show, I'll be sitting most of the show once I'm there. So I can kind of recover a bit. And I'll eat something before I leave. Excellent. Yeah, just in case I need a rest. Allison, suddenly needing nap time is a thing nowadays. For instance, when I finish streaming today, it'll be nap time. Followed by extended nap time. Turn the page a bit more. Let's wait on that. I notice a smudge a little right here. Not that I can dry. Not a big deal. It's hair, so I can kind of get away with it. Very cool. Guest rooms are fun. I mean, I definitely have more space where I am right now, since I moved in with Jeremy, but, you know, it's all good. And I wouldn't have to drive back to Providence, so that would be also good. Not really sure which one's closer. To join the club. Yeah. It's funny. I used to always have terrible insomnia. There's at one point I was literally up for almost a week straight. It was about a week straight, and like, you know, barely slept or anything. Now it's like I can sleep at the drop of a hat. The only other thing I have to oh yeah, I live with Jeremy. Yep, I do. He's actually working from home today. He's upstairs. Yeah, I moved into his house back in November, like right after Thanksgiving. I live with him and his brother and my 2 cats. Oh. I actually lost one of my cats over the summer. Hobbs unfortunately passed away. Died in my arms right after he bit me. Because he's a cat and he was going to do that. Yeah, his jamming is really good. He's actually starting up a new game this Wednesday down at Battleground in Abington. We're playing, of all things, basic Dungeons and Dragons. We're going back to Mulvey and Cook. So Red and Blue Book. Not Red Box, but Red Book. Red Box is Frank Menser. And that's what they played in Stranger Things. To give you an idea of how this is whatchamacallit, Elf is a class, as is Dwarf and Halfling. Lost my cat last summer, took her to the vet, we had to give her the shot. Yeah, she had to go to sleep. You know, you had her for a while. I mean, Midnight was old, so she was a good cat. Thinking of getting another one? I mean, I waited a couple months, but I did get Kaiju, who I think is upstairs tormenting Jeremy. Yeah, neither of them are down here right now, so I'll have to collect them soon when I finish streaming. Jeff doesn't really want to deal with the cats, so I keep them downstairs when he's home from work. It's Jeremy's brother. 19. Damn, yeah, that's a good run for a cat. There's a Melcat Houdini made it to 18. Yeah, we put down a couple years ago. He stopped eating. They've been having physical problems. Yeah, that can be tough. I know that. I know that feeling well. That's it. I have to say, one of the few things that keeps me sane. Plus, I mean, how can I run Alikat comics and not have at least one cat? I mean, it's definitely got to be a rule. So basically, I moved into Jeremy's basement. He lost his mom last summer, and his dad actually passed away too. He passed away at the beginning of the year. And his mom passed away from pancreatic cancer last summer, and I moved in November. So it kind of helped because the rent at my place was ridiculous for what it was. It was like over $1,400 for a studio apartment in Weymouth. I mean, I know rent is crazy, but yeah, that was just ridiculous. I'm effectively just paying the house taxes here with my rent. So, and they need to do some maintenance on a few things, and effectively my rent covers that stuff, which is good. So they don't have to worry about the taxes because of my rent, and they get the whatchamacallit, they can get a new stove because they need that, and they do need a new dishwasher. I'm making them get a new stove. I'll tell him. I'll definitely tell him that you were thinking of him. Yeah. Yeah, he had a rough year. Had a bit of a rough start to this year too. Um, I shouldn't be filling in this black area with the nib, but I'm doing it anyway. Should be doing this with a brush. But hey. He had a bit of a rough year, still dealing with some of his mother's estate and things, and got into a bad car accident. I don't know, about a month and a half ago. He almost made a storefront, a drive-through. Luckily, he didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt, and the car was fixable. Yeah, I think of him over time, and you too. Miss when we used to all game together. I still remember the Mutants and Mastermind game we played. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah, I remember you played a character called Lucky Stripe after the cigarette brand. We were like, most of us were like teenage heroes at like Xavier's school for gifted youngsters. I'm actually starting up a Marvel game next week with Jen Curtis, Julie Drew. Well, Julie will be coming in later to it because she's currently studying for a master's degree, and that is taking in. She's in like her final semester of study, so it's taking a lot of her time. And Sean's in it as well. Yeah, life-based hero was great. Yep, yeah, I found that funny. And Sean is playing a wereskunk of all things. I'm setting it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so it can be easier to reference things aside from like, thousands of comic books. And I'm setting it during the snap. It's 6 months after Thanos' snap. So they're in the blip time or the decimation it was also called. Oh, I like that one. I like that one too. Yeah, I'm starting to get to feel this pen even better. Oh, it took 5 years in between the snap and when they fixed it. Basically, where Endgame starts, is, like pretty much immediately after the snap. It takes them a little bit to get Tony back and stuff like that, and set things up. And Rocket figures out where Thanos is gone, which is a planet called the Garden, and it's actually where he went after the whole Infinity Gauntlet series in the actual Marvel universe. So they went there to find him and make him use the gauntlet to fix things, but he destroyed it all, and then Thor then killed him. He said, "This time I aimed for the head," and then it went 5 years later. Now, I have a general rule when I'm running in existing universes and stuff like that of everything is canon until a point. Basically, the point I start running, you make the canon. That you can change things, you can do whatever. My friend Sam calls it anti-canon. But yeah, so the second you get to a certain point in a game, you can create your own outcome. It doesn't have to follow the way the movies did or anything else. Especially works well in Star Wars. Must be neat. I'm probably running out. Yep, that does make it fun for the players that you can basically change things. You really like my Star Wars game a lot? Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. That was playing with an anti-canon idea. The whole idea behind it was Luke joined Vader at Bespin. I was thinking about it, but the Mulvey Cook rules of D&D ended too short though. Yeah, it didn't go that long. The Mulvey Cook version of D&D, I was actually thinking you could actually run an interesting Star Wars game with that. That the elf is basically a Jedi, and then you have you can kind of gear things off of that. What the different races are and stuff instead of having the character classes. It would also be interesting if you do it without any info from any game beyond the first Star Wars movie, which I mean is A New Hope, before it was called A New Hope. And you take into account what the only information based on that movie. You could probably do something kind of interesting with that. When it comes to Star Wars, I mean, I'll always love everything about Star Wars, but the classic trilogy is where it's at. Yeah, I don't really care about the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy as much. I enjoyed them for what they were, but I grew up with the classic. Can't beat the originals. Hell, I keep a Laserdisc player around just so I can watch the original movie. Unmessed with by Lucas. There's also 4K 77, 4K 80, and 4K 83 if you want to download 4K resolution versions of them. They ask that you have at least some version of the movies that you own before you download them, just because, you're never going to get the original versions in 4K. The left trilogies were all yeah, the other trilogies were all very derivative. I mean, Phantom Menace was interesting for some of the stuff it did. It didn't want to do something new, and everybody complained about it that it wasn't like the originals. And Attack of the Clones I used to consider the worst of the Star Wars movies, and then Rise of Skywalker came out. But, yeah, I have all three versions unmessed with. Now that being said, like I don't mind some of the changes, like in The Empire Strikes Back when they like you can actually they opened up Cloud City. Those scenes were cool. Um, but the stuff in it that I didn't really go with, watch it with the original song. Yep, yub nub. But I like the Cloud City stuff. Now the thing I didn't like that they did with the that they took out is they changed Vader's scene when he's going back to his Star Destroyer. They changed what he said and everything there. Like I didn't care that they added a scene of his the shuttle going up and to his Star Destroyer and everything like that. Um, like I didn't care about that. I was like, okay, that's fine. They can add that in. Um, or this when he was like walking out to the platform to get onto the shuttle, I was fine with that. Now the thing I hated was the fact that they changed the line where he was like, "Inform my Star Destroyer of my imminent arrival." And I'm like, no. The original line was far better, and it definitely showed that he was ticked after everything. It was "Bring my shuttle." That was just far superior. It's also like some of the dialogue on Dagobah was different. Yes, I completely agree. Han shot first. Yeah, it did. It made him far more badass. It also made it made his hero's journey that they did in the first film for Han to be more special when he came back at the end, because he wasn't just as mercenary. That he actually cared. And the Jabba the Hutt scene that they added in the original, they should have left that on the cutting room floor. Or I actually would have left it with the big fat guy that they had in there as Jabba the Hutt. I just would have had them like redub some of the lines so that was like another guy who was working with Jabba, like a major domo or something like that. Because him walking behind Jabba and then ending up stepping on him, that was dumb. But I could complain all day. Not going to. I mean, when it comes to May and I do my 2 day stream of uh May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th, that'll be fun. We're definitely doing Star Wars art then. Done it for the past few years. I want to keep it up. Right, his uncanny attitude at the beginning set up later transformation as being more special. Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, it made the character more likable. I mean, Han Solo is one of the best characters in it. Well, all the original characters are great. Love Leia, love the droids, love Luke. Be complaining all day of the changes to the movies is right. That's very true. I'm allowed. I saw all the originals. I mean, granted, I can't say I saw Star Wars when it first came out because I wasn't even one. But I did see it in the re-release right before the release of Empire when it said A New Hope. So close enough. That was the only change when it said Episode 4. So I consider myself mostly a purist when it comes to that. My Laserdisc versions don't say A New Hope or anything. They're just the original transfers. Just says Star Wars. And what was it? Project 77 doesn't have any changes either. It's just Star Wars. And Star Wars was just Star Wars. Those were the days. I mean, the stuff I can find that I liked about all the other Star Wars movies. I mean, I can even find something I enjoyed in the Rise of Skywalker. That one's hard, but I can even find some stuff I liked in that. Actually gave it a rewatch a few months ago because somebody was like, "No, it's really a lot better than you think." I rewatched, and I'm like, "Nope, it wasn't." It must have been 10. That sounds about right. You're a bit older than me. It was May 1977. May 25th, 1977. I think it's sad that I know the date it came out. Well, I should say, that was the day it first came out in theaters. That is not the day when people say they saw it on opening day, unless you were in, like, California, you did not see it that day. But the idea with being so powerful in the Force, he could transmit his image to another planet and even fight with. Yeah, that was amazing. I love that sequence. That was one of the best scenes in The Last Jedi. I also like the illusion that they were doing that as other Force users were disappearing, Rey and Kylo were getting more powerful. And my favorite part about The Last Jedi was Rey was a nobody. Parents were drunks, just like ditched her on the planet. There was no connection to Palpatine because that was just dumb. I wouldn't have minded if Palpatine was like a Force ghost that was kind of there trying to advise Kylo or something, but I did not like what they did with that, and I hated the fact they made her a Palpatine. It was fitting that she took the Skywalker name at the end. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. I don't care. I also thought that sequence with Luke was the best use of the Force that had been by what Master Yoda had said about it. That it's used for knowledge and defense and not for attack. Because I mean, that was amazing. That scene. Why am I not getting any? I must be running out. Yeah. Yeah, and explain Luke's bravery. He would stand up to anything because it was just to protect the image. Yeah, I mean, that was a thing. Yeah, I saw it coming a mile away that he wasn't actually there, but, I didn't care. Because the first thing I was doing was looking at the ground. I'm like, he's not kicking up any sand. I'm like, and his X-Wing didn't really look like it was in a flyable mode, really. Although Ray did put it back together enough to fly it. I think eventually. If I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've watched The Last Jedi. So of the sequel trilogy, that's the one I like the most. Because it was so different and it was interesting. It's one a lot of people hate, but I'm like, whatever. I've seen a couple of the ones about the Star Wars universe. I've obviously watched Bad Batch and Rebels and Clone Wars and stuff like that, and I've seen some of their making of stuff. I mean, my thing though is when it comes to the making of stuff, like I've met George Lucas, so I know a lot about Star Wars and its creation. Hell, I have a actual lightsaber It's over there. It's a little hard to get to. Yeah, the Mandalorian episode. That was a good episode. That was a really good episode. The end of season 2 of the Mandalorian. That was amazing, amazing. I wasn't really a big fan of the Mandalorian season 3. Yeah, no, that was great because it was a you actually got to see like a Jedi. The fuck is that? Yeah, gotta be running out of it. Okay, that way I know I got infinite. Went way too far down. There we go. Yeah, his power was great in that. And Dave Filoni heavily pulled the wool over people too, because everybody's like, "Oh, it's gonna be Plo Koon," even though he died in Revenge of the Sith, because that's his favorite Jedi. Nope, it was Luke. He fooled ya. I will say in the Book of Boba Fett, the I knew about Cad Bane showing up in that. I had to keep my mouth shut for like a year. This is why I don't look into Star Wars spoilers anymore, even though I have access to a bunch of things for them. So. Yeah, fun times. Yeah, it sucked. There was I was just psyched when I could talk about some of the stuff in the Ahsoka show. When they finally revealed that they're who they were using for some of the actors for it. Like the kid who played Aladdin in the live action Aladdin movie. I'm like, yep, he's gonna be Ezra. People are like, no, he's not. I'm like, yeah, he is. And they're like, oh, I just saw on this website that he's Ezra. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're like, they read it there? Like, nope. I knew for about 6 months now who Ezra was. I also knew who Sabine Wren had cast as Sabine Wren. Um, I know one actress that they're in talks with. I don't know if they still are, so I won't share her name. But she might be on a show that is something like dangerous things or something on Netflix, and her character may have numbers for her name, but she might be in talks with Disney to do some Star Wars stuff. I also know what her actual name is. So the name that she uses for the show is a stage name. The thing that you might be discussing with Lucasfilm to do a Star Wars project with, I'll say I have no idea what it is. But I heard that she was in talks with them, which would be kind of cool. Since Stranger Things is wrapping up this year, COVID messed that show up pretty good. Now the characters really look like kids anymore. The drawing looks like he just got some bad news and said whether they kill you or not for telling him. Yeah, basically. That sounds good to me. So it's a little bit easier to ink in some ways with a brush, but they want G-Pen. So you know what? We're giving them G-Pen. Okay, there's a few more finer details I'd like to probably go over with this, but yeah. Stretching way too much horror to watch. Oh man, come on. It's like literally a love letter to the 80s. It's fantastic. Such a great show. Granted, the last season they just did was literally their variation of Nightmare on Elm Street, but hey. With less bed eating scenes. Should leave that there for a minute. Watch as I try to find things that I took out of my bag. There it is. Still March. I watched the first episode of Severance. I thought it was really good, and I need to set aside time to watch the rest of it. But yeah, I watched it recently, and I was like, I can get into this. The sheer concept of it was like, wow, I wish they could have done that with Verizon. I'd probably still be able to work there. Excuse me. Yeah, no, the first episode was amazing. I need to sit down and watch the rest of it. I'm currently watching The Pit on HBO Max. Kind of thinking, I ended up like 11 episodes were out, and I thought I was only going to go to 12. So I binge watched basically the first 11 episodes in like a day, maybe two. And then the 12th episode came out. The 11th episode came out. I was like, all right. And then I'm like, all right, one more. Then the way that the 12th episode ended, I'm like, there's going to be more of these. It's going to 15. And that show is good. That's really, really good. Then again, I'm a sucker for medical dramas. Yeah, so I definitely want to watch. Definitely need to watch more Severance, and I also have to watch the new season of Reacher. I specifically waited till they were done putting out all the episodes so I could sit down and watch it. Sucker for good medical dramas. I like. I really liked House, and it's funny because I never watched ER, but yeah, I have HBO Max. So is this it is told over a basically one shift at an emergency room. So if you are into basically medical dramas like that, it's literally this one doctor shift at a hospital, and it goes from when he walks in the door to what they're doing right now with it. So I really liked it. I thought I think so far it's really good. I'm very happy it got renewed for a second season. The characters in it are great, and they're super fun. I have not watched Ted Lasso. I'll probably have to add that to things to watch. Okay. I think I'm done for the day. I've been streaming for about 2 hours. It's about time that I indulged in nap time, followed by extended nap time, and maybe watch another episode of Severance or something. I got a bit more work to do on this to finish the inks on it, but I think it's a pretty good round so far. Plus, I want to wait till the rest of it dries and things. Because there's a lot of noodling I have to go in there. Yeah, I am squidgy if the medical stuff shows. Oh, yeah, it definitely shows real procedures. My mother's squidgy too. She loves it. The show is that good. I, being a huge fan of horror movies and things, are kind of like, this old hat. But it's good. Oh, but anyway, I think I'm going to check out for a bit. I'm going to rest, relax, contemplate my navel, and other such wonderful things. But I will be seeing you all later. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I'm going to try to stream again at some point in the near future. Hopefully before Friday. I'm going to try to get another day of streaming in. I don't know when that will be because Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are weird for me. So there's that. And yeah, I might be working at the studio a little bit more this week to help cover for some stuff that I work at. So it'll kind of be up in the air a bit. But anyway, just if everybody could just do me a favor. Oh, I thought I had like and share on that one too. Oh well, that's fine too. But anyway, it's back to me here. But anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and again, I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all Friday at the latest. Until then, bye-bye. Love you all. Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching.